gates are closed.
It's the end of our journey. Hey, Noel. Thank you.
Hey guys, mahal everyone, 40 the Broadway Saiyan here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, this time bringing you guys another video on Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. In this video, guys, we're going to be covering the next upcoming story event, which is going to be Act 2, Chapter 5. Now, the highlight for this particular story event is obviously going to be the debut of Final Fantasy XIII-2's Noel. So Noel is going to be joining the global cast, and alongside with this particular story event, we're also going to be seeing for the very first time a character event rerun. So this is not going to be a Lost Chapters, but an actual event rerun for the Locke character event. And the reason why they're doing this is because Locke actually plays a crucial part in the story for Act 2, Chapter 5. So this is actually going to be a pretty good time too to go back to that event and actually unlock Locke if you didn't unlock Locke, if you didn't get a chance to play through his event the first time he came out. So the event itself, as far as the Locke event goes, nothing is going to change about it, so I won't be covering that. If you guys do want some details on that, I'll leave a link in the video description as well as the pinned comments to when I actually did cover that event. But the cool thing is that Locke actually does get a rework upon the release of Act 2 Chapter 5, and I will cover his rework on a separate video as part of my rework series, so stay tuned for that. Before I actually move forward to this video, I do want to let you guys know of a change that I'm going to be doing for my videos from here on out. So for this video and the future videos, I will no longer be talking about 15 and 35 CP passives for particular new weapons that come out with these banners, and I also will no longer be covering the extension passives and also the Bloomstone passives. And here's the reason why. If you guys have been watching my videos for a while now, whenever I cover framed buffs for characters, whenever I cover their abilities, I always talk about them with every single passive taken into consideration. So for example, for a character's skill 1, I always talk about it with the 15 and 35 CP passive, or the 15 and the 15 CP and the level 55 passive taken into consideration. And that goes for all of the other characters' abilities. So there's really no need for me to mention those particular passives separately because I already integrate them with the ability. So then that way the video won't be, too long, and you already have all that information in front of you. It's not going to be redundant. So just letting you guys know, moving forward, that's how I'm going to be doing it for these videos. But without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about Act 2 Chapter 5. So the cool thing about this map in particular is that not only is it reminiscent of obviously Final Fantasy XIII-2, since Noel is the main character for this particular chapter, but on the second floor of this particular chapter, it's literally the floating continent from Final Fantasy VI. It even has a soundtrack and a very special, sneering, familiar face that's going to be the final boss for this particular chapter. And we'll get into that when we actually talk about the boss fight. So that's going to be a little bit of flavor, a little bit of fun as far as this chapter goes. But let's go ahead and talk about Noel and his kit and what he brings to the table. So Noel's framed buff is going to be Last Hunter, so this is going to be his first framed buff. Again, we're going to talk about it with all passives considered. You could gain this framed buff by using his Gale Fang or its plus variant. It is stackable up to 3 stacks. The stacks themselves can be increased by either using his Tempest Blow or the plus variant, and Gale Fang or the plus variant. It has a 6-turn duration. What it does is, depending on the stacks, Noel's attack, defense, and max brave will be increasing by a specific percentage. So at 1 stack, 10% for those stats, 2, 20%, and 3, 40%. It's also going to be converting his Brave Attack and HP attacks to special commands. Brave Attack changes to Fear Siphon, and HP Attack changes to Scourge. Now, he does have a second frame buff, however, it's only accessible if you have his EX weapon. You can gain it from using his Meteor Javelin Plus when the EX weapon is 2 out of 3 limit broken, and the name of this buff is Will to Seize the Future. It has a 6-turn duration. What it does is it first increases the party's attack and max brave by 20%. Keep in mind that the allies will be benefiting from this as an aura, and then Noel himself will get a further boost to attack and max brave by additional 20%. So for Noel, he gets a total of 40%. For his allies, they get a total of 20%. Now his special commands, like we just talked about, coming from his Brave attack and HP attack when they change from Last Hunter, is going to be Fear Siphon, again with all passives considered. This is going to be a 2-hit non-elemental melee single target Brave attack. The ability itself has a low action delay when Noel either breaks a target or already attacking a target in a break state. And then if the target is broken by Fear Siphon, his next turn will not consume an ability usage. And you could tell the indication by this because there's going to be a white fiery aura that's surrounding Noel. This ability has a 180% Brave damage potency. His second ability that transforms coming from his HP attack is going to be Scourge. It does have a plus variant. The base variant is a 1-hit non-elemental melee single target Brave plus single target HP attack, while the plus variant jumps up to a 2-hit non-elemental melee single target Brave and single target HP attack. There is overflow with this particular command, 120% of max Brave for the base, and then 150% for the plus. Accessible for the plus variant is, you can access the plus variant if the target is already in a break state before you actually use the Scourge command. It does have a 100% Brave damage potency at base, and then at plus it has a 140% Brave damage potency. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at his actual abilities. So his command 1 or his skill 1 is Tempest Blow. There is a plus variant. Again, all passives considered. This is going to be a 4-hit Ice and Wind element melee single target Brave plus single target HP attack. So this is a double element type ability. It has a plus variant that is accessible if the target is already broken prior to Noel using this ability. Now there is an overflow with this ability, 120% of max Brave, and then 150% for the plus variant. It increases the stack of existing Last Hunter buff and extends its duration to a total of 6 turns. So remember, it increases the stack, so it does not actually apply a stack, but it'll increase whatever he already had prior. The plus variant cancels the target's break state prior to the Brave hits, so it's exactly the same as Vane's Force of Will. It's going to unbreak them, and then Noel essentially is going to have another chance to break them because the unbroken state is like he's barely replenishing their Brave by like a small amount. It has a 280% Brave damage potency at base, 320 for the plus variant, with a max usage of 8 on Tempest Blow. Now his second ability is called Gale Fang, and it does have a plus variant. Again, all passives considered. It is a 4-hit non-elemental melee single target Brave plus single target HP attack. This one grants 2 stacks of Last Hunter buff for 6 turns, so this is how you get the stacks. The plus variant is accessible when the target is already in a break state prior to the ability usage. It has an overflow. The base is at 150%, and the plus variant is at 180%. It changes Noel's Brave attack to Fear Siphon and his HP attack to Scourge as long as he has the Last Hunter buff active. It has a 440% Brave damage potency at base, and then the plus variant is at 480% with a max usage of 5. His third ability, coming from his level 65 passive, is called Shave Slash. We're also going to be taking a look at it with the 70 and Bloomstone passives equipped. It reduces the target's Brave by 50% prior to Brave hits, so it has a gravity effect, which is pretty cool. And then he delivers a 1-hit non-elemental melee single target Brave attack. It does also grant him a 20% attack up for 4 turns and has a 180% Brave damage potency with a max usage of 2. Finally, we're going to go ahead and cover his EX ability. I did cover this in X Factor Part 16, but in a sense, his EX weapon gives him the ability called Meteor Javelin with a plus variant. It is a 3-hit non-elemental melee single target Brave plus single target HP attack executed 4 times. This ability ignores defense. It has an overflow of up to 120% of max Brave. There is going to be a 20% HP splash damage dealt to other targets on that 4th attack, and it jumps up to 50% for the plus variant. You have access to the plus variant of Meteor Javelin if this is being used on a target that is already broken. It has a 420% Brave damage potency at base, jumping up to 480% for the plus variant. At 2 out of 3 limit break, Meteor Javelin Plus grants Noel Will to Seize the Future for 6 turns. This EX ability has a normal recast speed at base, jumping up to slightly fast at full limit break. Now, we're going to go ahead and talk about Noel's, I want to call this his Vane-esque rotation, because he has a rotation that's kind of similar to Vane. So when the quest starts, you generally want to begin with Gale Fang. So then that way, Noel will be changing his Brave and HP attack commands to those Fear Siphon and Scourge, and he's also going to be giving himself those stacks of Last Hunter. So you want to make sure you always want to open up with that. And then, assuming the target hasn't been broken, you want to start off with Fear Siphon, because what happens with Fear Siphon is that if he breaks the target with that, his next turn will not consume an ability usage. And then afterwards, you're going to have access to Tempest Blow Plus, and remember, with Tempest Blow Plus, if the target is already broken, he's going to unbreak them, and then he's likely going to break them. And he's also not going to be using an ability usage prior to the fact that you use Fear Siphon. So as you can see, he kind of has a Vayne-esque kind of a rotation. He misses out on the no action delay and the free turn count, but he does get an ability usage. So that is pretty cool, and that is very powerful considering that this character already does a pretty good amount of damage. Now the next things we're going to look at are going to be his important crystal passives, or his notable ones. So at 50, he gets an aura called Youth from the Future. It's a 20% attack and small speed increase as long as Last Hunter is active. At 54, he's actually going to be getting an aura that is applied to the party. It's going to be giving the party a 20% max brave increase and a small speed increase as long as he is buffed. At 58, he's going to get another aura to himself this time, which is a 40% attack and max brave increase to himself while he's buffed. This one is called Buff Attack Boost. At 65, he gets that Shave Slash ability. And then at 68, he gets his final aura, which is Radiance of Destruction and Power, giving him a 20% attack and max brave increase to himself. Now, as far as artifact passives go, he'll have access to Mighty Tempest Blow and Mighty Gale Fang. Pretty self-explanatory. These particular artifact passives just give his abilities an increase in Brave damage potency. And then he gets Youth from the Future Boost, which increases the effects of that crystal passive level 50. And then finally, he gets Buff Guard Up, which gives him a defense increase as long as he's buffed. Now, as far as artifact passives go, my personal recommendations are he's a damage dealer, so you want attack 108, especially because whenever you use Fear Siphon, you want to be sure that you score that break, so then you get that free ability usage next turn. And then afterwards, you're going to want Max Brave plus 330, and I put this one over Youth from the Future Boost, and the reason why is because Noel has some pretty good overflows with a majority of his abilities, and with Youth from the Future, while it does give him attack, the other statistic is speed, which is okay, but for me personally, he deals damage. I want him to deal more damage, so I'm going to be giving him Max Brave plus 330, so then that way, he'll be dealing as much HP damage as possible, especially with his overflows. So that is going to be the recommended artifact passes right there. So my particular thoughts on this character is that Noel is definitely going to be one of the powerhouses for the month of October. So we already have the month of October laid out on us. I've covered the particular EX weapons that we're going to be getting, and Noel is definitely one of the ones that shines out of this. The other one, for me personally, being Leon, but he doesn't come out until later at the end of October. But Noel is really strong because, one, very strong overflows. He has longevity. As long as you have Last Hunter up, he gets access to, his Transform, Brave attack, and HP attack. He has that Vayne-esque rotation, which can be very, very useful. So imagine using this guy in conjunction with Vayne, right? So as long as you set it up correctly, Noel can break a target. Next turn, he gets free ability usage, and then he can unbreak and break the target again, further setting whatever boss you're fighting or whatever enemy you're fighting back further in the turn count, which is very, very, very powerful. A great way for you to capitalize on his damage. And then to top it off, if you pull for that EX weapon, at max, it's at a slightly fast recast speed, so it's pretty good. It has a good recast speed. It ignores defense, which is going to be very, very crucial, especially during early chaos. So I want to say right now that Noel is actually a character, if you have his EX, that can actually perform very, very well for the early chaos, because not only does he have the break and unbreak shenanigans, the free ability usage, but he can also ignore defense, and a lot of bosses during the chaos era actually have crazy high defenses. So since he can ignore that, hey, this character is going to be doing a lot of damage, provided that you already have his summon boards maxed and also good artifact passives and all of his gear. So this brings us to the banner. So we know how good Noel is, but let's talk about the banner. So the banner is going to be debuting Noel's weapon, so it's going to be his 1535, and at 15 CP, I mean, is 35 CP. So those can be attainable too in the weapon token store if you actually have weapon tokens saved up. And then the highlight of the banner is going to be his EX weapon. Now there is going to be another EX weapon on this banner. It's going to be a rerun, which is going to be Locke's EX weapon. So there's going to be 2 on this one. And then the other character who's going to be featured on this, just with 15 and 35 CP alone, is actually Noctis, who just got a rework. And we all know by now just how good Noctis' rework is. He's quite powerful. So if you take a look at the banner, you have Noel, strong powerhouse, Locke, who gets a rework, who's going to be pretty good with that rework, and then you have Noctis, who already got a rework, who's really strong. So overall, it's a great banner to pull on. But should you pull on the banner? This one for me is difficult because Noel is a strong character. He can actually definitely help your party out. And like I said, I feel like he's a character that's viable for early chaos. And the only reason why you wouldn't pull on this banner is because you already have that future foresight from a lot of the talk with the JP community, right? We already know that there's 2 characters in particular that a lot of people are looking forward to that is definitely crucially viable for chaos, which is going to be Charlotta and Ultimecia. So if you're really hoarding materials for them, then you probably don't want to invest too much on this banner. But if you decide to pull on this banner, just know that the character you're pulling for is actually quite good, and the other 2 characters are actually pretty good as well. So overall, the banner is a pretty good investment. I wouldn't say it's a must pull, but it's definitely a pretty good investment if you decide to put some gems and tickets into the banner. Now, if you decide to skip for Noel's EX, I will let you know that it does come back on the Caius character event, and by then, Noel's EX weapon will also have its plus variant, and we also get to pull for Caius, which Caius is a really powerful villain. He has all these cool debuffs that are pretty much like Vanille's debuff from her EX, but it's even better. So you'll have 2 cool EX weapons to pull for there, and they'll also have their plus variants if you decide to pass for Noel's EX weapon. So now we're going to go ahead and cover that boss fight that I was telling you guys about. The final boss fight for Act 2, Chapter 5 is going to be against Kefka, and I call this Kefka and Friends because he's going to have mannequins accompanying him. So Kefka himself, no weaknesses, no resistances. He does have a chase value of 40. The mannequins that he starts off with on the hard mode is going to be Shadow and Setzer. Shadow can get annoying because he has that low action delay. If he breaks you, he has a chance to act again, so just be careful for the Shadow mannequin. And then the Setzer mannequin, the most deadly thing that you could watch out for is the Freeze Joker, because you won't be able to build up your Brave. So if you have characters in your party that deal AoE HP damage, regardless if it's split or regardless if it's splash or even 100% AoE, then that's how I would deal with these particular mannequins, because you definitely want to focus your attention on Kefka. Now, the special thing about Kefka in this boss fight is that he has access to his EX ability, Havoc Wing, and if you're all familiar with that EX ability, you know how powerful it is. He hits one target really hard, deals multiple Brave hits, and then followed by an HP attack, and then he puts that debuff, that frame debuff, called Sneering Clown, which what it does is it reduces all of your stats by a specific percentage, which can be really, really deadly. And an indication that you know he's about to do this is there's going to be text that appears. It's either going to say provoking this way or looks angry. And the animation that Kefka does is, he taunts you, he like spanks his butt or something like that is what he does. It's Kefka, he's a clown. So when he does that, watch out and be careful, because he's about to launch that EX ability on you. And then Kefka will be replacing his mannequins periodically whenever you take him out, whenever he reaches HP levels. So he replaces Shadow with Terra, Shadow with Terra, yeah, if I remember correctly, and then he replaces Setzer with Locke. So he uses Final Fantasy VI mannequins in a sense. So just be careful for that as well, should you take out the mannequins immediately. But yeah, just watch out for that Havoc Wing. One of the things that I could recommend is, since Setzer just got his EX weapon, he got like a minor rework with his Crystal Passive level 50, you could actually take him and time your Freeze Joker. So if you see Kefka taunting you, you see that text appears, boom, pop that Freeze Joker, because Kefka's, at least if you get hit by Havoc Wing, you're not going to take any damage from it because he can't build up his Brave. You'll still deal with the debuff, but I'd rather deal with that than dealing with the potential of him actually KOing one of your party members, especially if he breaks them with that EX ability. So we're actually going to jump into that fight right now. I'm going to be taking Noel for this. I'm also going to be taking Setzer, and I'm going to be taking a character that you guys have seen me showcase before on my visual showcases, which is General Leo, a character that Global still has yet to see. But for those of you Final Fantasy VI fans, I think you could figure out why I'm taking General Leo for this particular fight. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. Okay, so there's going to be 3 waves. The first waves are going to have, you probably want to deal with the scorpions first because they can actually petrify you for 1 turn. Okay. And the scorpions have about, I want to say like 30k health. They have a lot of health, so you may not be able to take them out with 1 shot. So you just want to watch out for that. So like I said, with Noel, you want to go ahead and start off right away with his Command 2. So then that way he gets his stacks of Last Hunter and he has access to his transformed Brave Attack and HP Attack. Let's just do this. Yeah, we just took it out. Okay, so we have 1 more wave. Okay, so this wave is not as annoying. It doesn't have those scorpions. So we're actually going to take advantage of his free ability count here. So we broke that target. So next turn, so you see that aura Noel. So next turn, he's not going to have an ability usage, which is going to be very useful. With General Leo, let's just do this. And then with Setzer, let's just go ahead and just use another red card. All right. So 2 waves, and then here comes the boss fight. And I will say, I'm not gonna play it for this video, but there's a cool track that plays when you fight this, when you fight Kefka here. All right, so Kefka is B, so I'm just gonna go ahead and delay him. All right, so Noel has his free ability usage because of the aura, so we're gonna unbreak Kefka and re-break him. Okay, and then with General Leo, we're just gonna go ahead and use his skill 2, which is essentially like Quistis' delay. But he does 3 Brave plus HP attacks, which is crazy. Okay, so I see that that Shadow has us within KO range, so I'm just gonna go ahead and stop that here. And with Kefka, I'm just gonna do this again. All right, so he might be doing his EX ability soon there, so we gotta be careful. I'm gonna go ahead and let's see, C is going. Let's actually do this. Okay, and then we're gonna go ahead and use Shock. All right, let's go ahead and apply that Freeze Joker because Kefka will probably use his EX ability next turn. And then with Noel, let's go ahead and just re-break Kefka. So he got delayed because of that, but that's okay. I'm actually going to delay the Shadow Mannequin just because I don't want him to actually to use a Shadow Stealth and we eat some HP damage. And then right over here, we're just going to go ahead and keep delaying Kefka with General Leo. And what's so cool about that ability is that it also batteries your allies. So General Leo is a definite powerhouse. And when he comes out, I highly recommend that you guys try to pull for him because he's an outstanding character. Really strong buffs, can delay 2 turns, very, very powerful. All right, so what I'm going to do here is actually use Noel's EX. So this is Meteor Javelin Plus because we are using it on a target that's already broken. As you can see, it deals a lot of splash damage. Okay, so Kefka is about to do something crazy. There it is. Okay. There it is. But as you can see, the Freeze Joker came into play and we avoided getting killed. But we do have that debuff on Noel, which can be pretty detrimental. So we're going to go ahead and summon here. So as long as you're aware that Kefka has Havoc Wing and you're prepared for it, it shouldn't be too difficult of a fight. Just, again, watch out for that. Don't get careless and try to burn through your abilities or try to blitz him down because if you allow him to hit you with that, he might likely KO one of your allies, because it is a hard-hitting EX ability. Okay, so Kefka's almost down. I'm just going to go ahead and use Noel's ability 1. And the cool thing about Noel is that because if you could cycle through his abilities, Fear Siphon and free ability usage, in a sense, Noel can pretty much hang on to his ability usages for quite a long time if you set him up correctly. Alright, so we're getting close to the end. We've got Prismatic Flash available. So yeah, this is the fight, guys. It's going to be a pretty fun fight, especially there's a lot of nostalgia with it too. And as you can see, the Shadow Mannequin got replaced by Terra. That's fine. We don't need to worry about the Terra Mannequin. Not too much of a threat. Alright, so Kefka's down, so the big threat is down, so now all we got to do is deal with the Setzer Mannequin and the Terra Mannequin. Alright. General Leo. So cool thing about General Leo's EX is that if there's only one target, he does 2 hits, which is really strong. And we're just going to go ahead and finish off this fight with a launch. So that is going to be the gameplay video showcase for Act 2, Chapter 5. Again, just watch out for Havoc Wing. And also, if you guys plan on pulling for Noel, just know that he is a powerhouse. Pretty good pull. Not a must pull, but if you pull for him, hey, you got yourselves a great character that is going to be performing fairly well for the early Chaos era that we're going to be seeing in the month of November. So very, very good character overall. Alright guys, this is 40 the Broadway Saiyan. Stay tuned for the next video, and mahal everyone.